Have you ever felt like your prayers were just hitting an invisible ceiling? Like your words were vanishing into thin air, never reaching their divine destination? What if I told you everything you've been taught about prayer is fundamentally wrong? A misunderstanding so profound it's kept billions of people spiritually disconnected for centuries? Today, I'm pulling back the veil on the most misunderstood spiritual practice in human history. This isn't just another perspective on prayer. It's the original teaching that has been deliberately hidden, distorted, and buried by religious institutions for 2 millennia. The shocking truth is that most people have been praying incorrectly their entire lives. They've been taught methods that are scientifically impossible, like trying to watch Channel 7 while your TV is tuned to Channel 2. No matter how sincerely you wish, no matter how devoutly you pray, you simply can't make that connection until you adjust the frequency. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why so many prayers go unanswered? Why, despite billions of people praying daily, our world remains filled with suffering? It's not because divine connection is impossible. It's because we've been taught methods that defy the very laws of spiritual physics. The truth about prayer is far more revolutionary than you've been led to believe. It's not about speaking words out loud, not about rituals or formulas, and certainly not about public displays of devotion. The real method of divine connection was taught by history's greatest spiritual masters, including Jesus himself, but their teachings have been systematically distorted. Imagine discovering that your mind is actually a divine antenna, capable of directly communicating with higher consciousness, but you've been using it incorrectly your entire life. What if the power to manifest profound change has always been within you, waiting to be activated through a method so simple yet so profound that religious institutions have deliberately obscured it to maintain their position as middlemen between you and divine wisdom? This isn't speculation. It's hidden in plain sight within the very text these religions claim to follow. And once you understand it, you'll never approach your spiritual practice the same way again. Let's start by understanding what prayer truly is, not as defined by religious tradition, but as a scientific universal principle. Prayer, in its essence, is earth communicating with heaven. It's the lower frequency of human consciousness attempting to make contact with the higher frequency of divine consciousness. But here's where everything falls apart. The lower cannot touch the higher through conventional means. It's scientifically impossible. Think of it this way. If you're watching Channel 2 on your television but want to see what's on Channel 7, would it work to pray for Channel 7 to appear? Would pleading, "Oh God, let me see Channel 7," make any difference? Of course not. You need to change the frequency. You need to adjust your tuning. This is the fundamental problem with traditional prayer. People are speaking words, performing rituals, and making requests while remaining tuned to the lower frequency of everyday consciousness. Their prayers aren't reaching heaven because they haven't adjusted their spiritual dial. Now here comes the revelation that changes everything. Heaven isn't some distant place in the clouds or another dimension. In Luke 17:21, Jesus explicitly states, "Neither shall they say, 'Lo, it's here,' or 'Lo, it's there.' For behold, the kingdom of God is within you." This is revolutionary. Jesus wasn't being metaphorical. He was describing a scientific reality about consciousness. The kingdom of heaven, the divine frequency you're trying to reach, is located within your own mind. It's not a geographical location. It's a state of consciousness accessible through specific practices. But if heaven is within us, how do we access it? Again, Jesus provides the exact instructions. In Matthew 6:33, he says, "Seek first the kingdom of God." You have to look for this kingdom within yourself. And the only vehicle known to humanity that allows you to look within yourself is meditation. That's right. Meditation is the true form of prayer. Not speaking words out loud, not public declarations, but the internal practice of silencing the mind and seeking the divine consciousness within. Jesus confirms this in Matthew 6:6 when he says, "When you pray, enter into your closet, and when you shut your door, pray to your Father which is in secret." The closet isn't a physical space. It's your inner consciousness. Shutting the door means closing off external distractions and the constant chatter of your thoughts. This is precisely what meditation achieves. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. Religious institutions have systematically concealed and even demonized this practice. The very churches claiming to follow Jesus actively discourage the exact practice he prescribed. Instead of teaching people to look within through meditation, they've created elaborate systems of external worship that keep believers spiritually dependent. Why would they do this? Because true spiritual connection eliminates the need for middlemen. When you discover that divine wisdom is accessible within your own consciousness, you no longer need institutions to interpret God for you. Understanding prayer as meditation transforms it from superstition to science. Your brain contains electromagnetic properties. It generates measurable electrical activity. When you meditate, you're not engaging in some mystical ritual. You're adjusting the frequency of your brain waves to align with higher states of consciousness. It's like tuning a radio to pick up a specific station. Through consistent meditation practice, you're adjusting your consciousness to receive frequencies beyond ordinary awareness. This isn't just spiritual teaching, it's confirmed by neuroscience. EEG studies show that advanced meditators produce brainwave patterns associated with heightened awareness, compassion, and insight. But there's another crucial element Jesus taught about true prayer: persistence. In Luke 11, he tells the story of a man knocking on his friend's door at midnight, asking for bread. Though initially refused, the man persists until his friend finally gets up and gives him what he needs. Jesus concludes, because of his importunity, persistence, he will rise and give him all he needs. This teaching isn't about pestering God until he gives in. It's about the scientific principle of building energy through repeated practice. Each meditation session strengthens the neural pathways that facilitate higher consciousness. The electrical energy in your brain grows stronger with each practice until eventually, you complete the circuit and make contact with divine consciousness. Think of it like drilling for oil. You don't put the drill in, turn it twice, and expect to strike oil. You have to dig deep, persistently, sometimes for years. This is why most people fail at prayer. They try once or twice, feel nothing significant, and give up. But those who persist eventually break through to profound spiritual experiences. There's another obstacle to effective prayer that few spiritual teachers discuss: emotional purification. Jesus addressed this directly when he said, "Take no thought for your life," Matthew 6:25. The emotions of worry, fear, and desire create energetic blockages that prevent connection with higher consciousness. This is why religious practitioners can pray for decades without making real contact. Their prayers are contaminated with emotional attachments, desires for specific outcomes, fears about the future, worries about health or finances. These lower frequency emotions prevent the shift to higher consciousness. True prayer requires emotional neutrality, a state of receptivity without attachment. This is what Jesus meant by taking no thought. It's not about suppressing thoughts, but transcending them through meditative awareness. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of true prayer is that it requires separating from religious traditions and dogmas. The very concepts and beliefs that religious institutions propagate can become barriers to authentic spiritual connection. Jesus himself was highly critical of religious hypocrites who made public shows of devotion while lacking inner transformation. He criticized those who love to pray standing in the synagogues and on street corners to be seen by others. Matthew 6:5. Today we might add in public schools and government buildings to that list. The push for public prayer directly contradicts Jesus' explicit instructions to pray privately, within your own consciousness. This discrepancy reveals how far modern religious practice has strayed from original teachings. So what should you actually pray for? Not material possessions, not specific outcomes, but truth itself. Like a scientist conducting an experiment without bias, your prayer should seek only what is true and right for your highest good. This approach acknowledges that divine wisdom surpasses our limited understanding of what we need. When you meditate with the intention of connecting to truth rather than fulfilling desires, you open yourself to guidance that transcends your personal wants. This is why Jesus taught, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you," Matthew 6:33. The primary goal is connection with divine consciousness. Everything else follows naturally from that alignment. Let's be clear about something revolutionary. Prayer is not about convincing some external deity to grant your wishes. It's about raising your own consciousness to a level where you become receptive to higher wisdom. It's not about changing God's mind. It's about changing your mind to align with divine intelligence. This understanding transforms prayer from begging to becoming. You're not asking an external force for favors. You're elevating your consciousness to receive insights and energy that already exist within the divine field of intelligence that permeates reality. The world has been engaged in traditional prayer for over 2,000 years, yet we still face war, disease, violence, and suffering. Clearly, something is fundamentally wrong with the conventional approach. The solution isn't more of the same. It's returning to the original teachings about internal transformation through meditation. When you practice true prayer, meditation with persistence, emotional purity, and a focus on truth, you begin to experience what Jesus called the peace that passes all understanding. You develop intuitive guidance that flows naturally from your connection with higher consciousness. You access wisdom beyond intellectual knowledge. This isn't theoretical. Countless practitioners throughout history have verified these experiences. From Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart to Sufi saints, Buddhist masters to Hindu yogis, the consistent testimony across spiritual traditions confirms that meditation leads to direct experience of divine consciousness. But don't take anyone's word for it, including mine. The beauty of this approach is that it's empirically verifiable through your own experience. You don't need to believe. You only need to practice consistently and observe the results in your life. Set aside time each day for silent meditation. Start with just 10 to 15 minutes if you're new to the practice. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. When thoughts arise, gently return your attention to your breathing. Remember Jesus' teaching to enter your inner room and close the door. This means shutting out distractions and the constant chatter of your mind. As you practice, hold the intention of connecting with the divine wisdom within you. Not to get something, but simply to experience communion with higher consciousness. Persist through periods of restlessness or doubt. Remember the man knocking at midnight who received what he needed through persistence. Over time, you'll begin to notice subtle changes. Perhaps increased intuitive insights, greater emotional balance, or a sense of guidance in your decisions. These are signs that you're beginning to make contact with higher consciousness. The magnificent truth is that divine connection isn't reserved for saints or spiritual masters. It's your birthright as a conscious being. The kingdom of heaven truly is within you, waiting to be discovered through the simple yet profound practice of meditation. This is the prayer that transforms. Not by changing external circumstances directly, but by elevating your consciousness to a level where you perceive and respond to life from a place of wisdom rather than reactivity. From this elevated awareness, you naturally make choices that create positive change in your life and the world around you. The spiritual institutions that have concealed these teachings have done humanity a profound disservice. By keeping people dependent on external authorities for divine connection, they've prevented billions from experiencing their own direct relationship with higher consciousness. But that era is ending. Ancient wisdom is being rediscovered and validated by modern science. The artificial barriers between science and spirituality are dissolving as we recognize that both are describing the same reality from different perspectives. Prayer as meditation isn't just an ancient spiritual practice, it's the future of human consciousness evolution. It represents our transition from dependency on external authorities to direct communion with the divine intelligence that permeates existence. So I challenge you, for the next 21 days, set aside your traditional notions of prayer and commit to daily meditation practice. Enter your inner room, close the door of your mind to distractions, and persistently seek the kingdom within. Approach this experiment with scientific curiosity rather than religious belief. What you discover may fundamentally transform your understanding of spirituality, consciousness, and your place in the cosmos. You may find that the divine connection you've been seeking through external means has always been within you, waiting to be activated through the simple yet profound practice that Jesus himself taught, but religious institutions have long neglected. The choice is yours. Continue with prayer methods that have failed to create significant transformation for millennia, or embrace the original teaching that provides direct access to divine consciousness. The kingdom of heaven truly is within you, and meditation is the key that unlocks the door.